So our mission is to empower teams to create the next big thing. And whatever progresses that mission is our bet. I think PLG is a channel. It's not a business model, especially today with AI. I think it's a great channel for people to explore and play with your product, but to be strategically deployed inside the organization, you need a different set of capabilities. We are now at the very beginning of this multi-product business model experimentation. There are things that we know and there are things that we don't know. The things that we know is that historically we have this per seat pricing model, and with AI, this per seat pricing model can be quite vulnerable. We use Miro board actually for the whole pricing history in the company. This is where it started, and like every step of the evolution is mapped on that canvas, which is amazing because you always can go back and see what was that experiment, what was the outcome, why we did it, what we've learned, and whatnot. You can't predict what things would play out tomorrow, where you got disrupted. So the skill of 0 to 1 is more needed than ever before. My sense it will be a constant 0 to 1 for a lot of companies from now on.
Welcome, this is Second Acts, a podcast where we document how SaaS leaders chart the exacting foundational shifts of scaling up. And I'm your host, Krish Subramanian, co-founder and CEO at ChargeBee. This season, we are diving into AI's all-out enterprise embrace and how that's accelerating second acts everywhere, reshaping software categories, business models, and teams to meet never-before-seen stakes. Now, on to the episode. This week's guest, Andrey Khusid, founded Miro as an infinite whiteboard, a horizontal surface where teams could do anything. Today, with 100 million users and most Fortune 500 companies as customers, Andrey and team are re-envisioning that infinite canvas with AI, enabling thousands of use cases and deep vertical differentiation simultaneously. But getting there requires re-earning product market fit, evolving monetization beyond their core per seat model, and maintaining deep passion and discipline on the core problem statement. In this fascinating conversation, we spoke about how AI is enabling both horizontal flexibility and vertical depth at Miro, how Andrey assesses permission to win versus permission to play in a market where everyone competes with everyone, why he believes PLG is a channel, not a business model, their current thesis on selling AI to enterprises, Miro's continuous pricing evolution and how they have landed on a hybrid model, what Andrey wishes he had known before scaling the Miro team, Andrey's approach to hiring founders and builders with proven 0 to 1 skills as functional leaders, and so much more. Let's dive in.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and it's so amazing to have you here. Right, first things first, congratulations on 100 million users.
Thank you.
And it is such an amazing feat, especially considering that you have a product that is also used by most of Fortune 500 companies. And especially the journey of Miro, starting all the way from an infinite whiteboard, right, a horizontal surface for everything, for anything, to now you have deliberately shaped the product over the years, specifically around use cases like product design, UX, and agile workflows, and especially based on observed user behavior. And now with AI, you are able to serve hundreds of thousands of use cases all over again. So my question is, what do you think about the pendulum swing between this horizontal flexibility and vertical depth, and how that's playing out today?
Yeah. No, thank you for having me here. It's been a long time since we originally chatted to have this conversation, and appreciate the patience because I was building for the last couple of years.
All of us are.
Yeah, for this second act to come and talk about this with you. So this is definitely a big, interesting evolution of software that is happening now. There are like horizontal tools and vertical tools that were not much overlapping historically. But with AI, we see an opportunity to build deeper use cases faster. And while a lot of people really benefit from simple user experience and connected workspace that can support the work across different departments and different roles, people still need to achieve their goals, and to achieve their goals, they need like a specified set of tools and capabilities that help them achieve the goals. And that's where we're trying to find the right balance while being the platform that connects everyone in the company and allowing for that seamless collaboration and major productivity gains. We try to go deep and support use cases, especially in a product innovation, because that's where the most value is created.
Beautiful. And is a AI layer allowing you to do both now that was not even possible?
Yeah, partially. So, for example, prototyping or wireframing. We had the wireframing capabilities for like maybe now 8-9 years on our platform. And it was very manual. So you come to Miro, and if you need to express your ideas, you would manually move those stencils and kind of create the visualization of your idea. Now with AI, you can prompt the canvas, and you will get the app in minutes. And then you can immediately test that app or discuss that app with the team, modify that app. That definitely shifts a lot. Same with the diagramming, for example. Before, you had manually to design your architecture, or you have a code base and then you need to document the code base. You would go and you would manually visualize that, and it takes like hours of engineers to reflect their code base in the documentation system. Now it takes few minutes with MCP to visualize the code base and document and then discuss it. So definitely AI is helping, but you can't just rely on AI. You need a set of those fundamental capabilities that AI is working with.
Right.
So, it's been great that we've built over time a bunch of those fundamental capabilities, but then layering AI just accelerates those jobs to be done like 10x, 100x.
Beautiful. And how much of a role does the shifting roles of titles and people, how is that impacting any of this flexibility and depth you are able to offer?
It's a great question. I think historically what we saw with our platform is that we saw that kind of makers movement because our platform is not a specialist tool.
Right.
It's more a generalist tool, and designers were kind of thinking product, and like engineers were thinking design, and product marketers were also kind of thinking their use cases on Miro and going beyond those use cases, obviously. So in general, kind of the idea of this blended role of maker, if you will, was always prevalent on our platform, and I think it's only amplifying now, because with AI, as an engineer, you can go and prototype an interface, correct? You can upload the screenshot of your existing system and ask AI to help you add certain features to that, correct? Or as a product manager, you can go and like create the product story that you want to launch for customers, as before you had to partner with other folks to figure this out.
Right.
So I mean, it's blending more, and we're trying to bring those capabilities that help teams to help individuals to be more productive and empower those makers teams more.
Beautiful. And somebody said it recently that everybody has a major and minor in skills.
Yeah.
And today, some of these tools actually help you overcome what are those minors and actually play a significantly different and a better role. And I can imagine that Miro actually enables a lot of people to make their minors into majors.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's beautiful, actually, because with a smaller team, you can achieve so much more today than like a few years ago. And it creates the opportunity for teams to move faster and to play their strengths, as you say, way more. It's an incredible shift that we're observing today.
Right. And in the middle of all of this shift, right, and you've always said that you start from the market and not product perspective, and that you're constantly asking, where do we have the permission, not just to play, but permission to win, right? So how do you assess whether you truly have permission to win in markets, or a right to win in a certain market, versus just a permission to participate?
Yeah, it always kind of going back and forth. So you always have an idea, correct, or intuition around direction. And you say, okay, this is the opportunity. And then you go and look, okay, but what's the market looks like today? Who is on that market? How that market we anticipate might develop? What's the buyers' patterns? What's the users' patterns? Are buyers trying to buy suite products, or they're buying they're buying best of breed products? Correct. Are the buyers buying AI first solutions, or the buyers are buying non-AI first solutions? Correct. It's just like you need to observe those behaviors and understand how to fit, because product market fit exercise is, my belief, more about the market rather than about the product, because we all know an amazing products that were built before the market was ready.
Right.
Or after the market got saturated. So, and they never got traction. So it's very important that whatever you build fits the market wave. But again, I think it's constant iteration, understanding the trends and the demand, what's the biggest kind of problem to solve today, and then ensuring that your business model, that your distribution model, that your kind of structure of your product matches that need. Because, for example, we were best of breed product for a long time, and in 2022, market shifted to best of suite. Right. So everyone tried to kind of consolidate and buy one platform that rules them all and all that stuff. And just if you are best of breed, you will have quite a challenging situation. That's where we, for example, decided to move to best of suite solution, and not just be a horizontal suite, but be a suite that is oriented on innovation workflows to help teams to move from discovery to definition to delivery. Not yet another horizontal suite of products, which there are a lot. And that helped us quite a bit, because when you focus on outcome, when you focus on strategic workflows that the companies need, it's way easier to attach yourself to the outcome the customer is looking for, rather than be just pure horizontal, best of breed solution. So, I mean, it's always important to see what's up there and where that dynamic is going. We can't predict 100%, but I think with 80-90% of probability, more or less, you can always see what's top of mind and what it would be for the next few years.
Beautiful. And is there a particular set of actions that you take to develop that intuition a little bit, take it further? Because like when we're starting out, right, we all have our ways of actually discovering markets and opportunities.
Right.
And in the middle of, like, for you having 100 million users, if you go all the way into data, the data will tell you from the existing user's perspective certain things.
Correct.
But it doesn't necessarily match where the market is shifting.
Yeah.
Are there certain things that you have now developed as ways in which you have now figured out how to connect the dots that are your go-to?
Yeah, I'm looking at very diverse set of data sets. So I'm looking at industry reports, for example, what's going on in the industry, what, for example, software is growing faster, what less, in what segments it's growing. I'm looking at what the startups are kind of growing faster versus those who are not growing faster. So you kind of meet a lot of founders, startups, and try to understand what are those kind of type of startups, but also what's their business models, correct? Some are PLG, some are sales-led. You can observe patterns in what specific niches the faster growth is happening. You obviously speak with your users and customers to understand how they do things today and where the biggest pain points are. Right. So it's less about like historical data of and extrapolating that historical trend. It's more about trying to observe their behaviors and trying to combine that with the technological shifts that can unlock new behaviors. So that's an important one, because now we're sitting on this major technological shift moment, and there are a lot of insights that we can bring from it to where the market would go. So what else? Reports from kind of analysts and from strategy consultants, big one.
Right.
Observing behaviors, understanding the technology shifts, and observing the startups and where the more pull is happening. Those are things that I'm trying to constantly do and triangulate. And then you kind of make some insights and bets out of that.
Right. And in the previous answer, you also mentioned something about these shifts and making sure that like whatever bets that you are making matches your current motions, right? So I would love to double click on the go-to-market very soon. But there is one more question. So the market dynamics shifting with AI and the consolidation is happening simultaneously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that framework helping you guide your the current and upcoming bets that are happening at?
Yeah. It's interesting because when I speak with other founders and CEOs, the common theme is that no one knows how the market will shape up.
Correct.
Like it's very hard to predict. And what I see and what we are doing is a portfolio of bets. So you put a portfolio of bets. You understand that not every bet will play out. But at least you kind of bet on things that most likely can be an accelerator for you.
Yeah.
If you kind of eventually get to the point where every bet worked out, it means you were not pushing enough. You were not, ambitious enough to put more bets that should fail. If everything fails, we'll see. It's also not clear.
The hypothesis.
Yeah, like how the market will shape. But at the end of the day, like the bets we're making are aligned with our holistic strategy and mission. So our mission is to empower teams to create the next big thing. And whatever progresses that mission is our bet. So then obviously there are more things that we can potentially do than resources we have, correct, to execute. So we are trying to align the bets towards our strategy, what we are trying to achieve in the next 2-3 years. And we have several strategic bets in the company is how we align better to the product innovation leadership in the organizations and how we can help them accelerate the innovation velocity. And whatever works towards that mission and strategy, we put as a bet, and we put a team behind that bet, and we execute that bet. And then depends on the type of buyer. It's either PLG or is it SLG or is it a mixed model, but it all grounded into our core platform. So it's not a separate product.
Right.
It's all grounded in the platform, and it's all connected into existing behaviors that users and customers have on our core platform. So, and then we can amplify some of those products through internal platform distribution.
Right. Beautiful. That naturally we went into the PLG and the sales-led motion, right? So I have a question related to that. So Slack's freemium approach influenced your breakout, right? And how that approach played out and the model. And further on, right, Miro's entire PLG flywheel was built on removing friction, right, which is unlimited members on the free trials, frictionless board sharing, viral loops, and that lets anyone invite collaborators, right? And in a recent report from Menlo Ventures, it says something which is striking here, that is 27 to 40% of enterprise spend is now coming through PLG motions, right? And nearly 4x, that is nearly 4x the rate of traditional SaaS at 7%, right? And are you witnessing some of this too? And how differently is Miro's, your legendary bottom-up adoption playing out with Miro AI especially?
Yeah, it's definitely a major pull now by small businesses and users in the bigger companies to play with different products. Like we see it all the time. I'm not sure, like, in what's the percentage in Menlo Ventures report is attributed to ChatGPT and Anthropic, PLG. I assume it's very big because I looked at the report they recently released. It was last week, and yeah, it's clearly saying 27%, which is incredible, but. Also, the majority of spend in that category is OpenAI and Anthropic. So, yeah.
Of course, like OpenAI itself is $13 billion.
Exactly. And both companies are PLG companies historically.
True.
So that's where like I would be accurate in terms of like extrapolating that insight to every product out there. So my assumption is the biggest portion of that 27% is just those a couple companies. Gemini may be the third one, but they still kind of don't fully monetize those capabilities. So yeah, but then we definitely see examples of amazing companies like Granola, Fixer, a bunch of other products that are distributed bottoms up, but their share is quite small now still. So we see quite an adoption for Miro bottoms up again across all segments. But what's important is when the customer is considering seriously kind of AI technology beyond just this copilot or knowledge retrieval solutions like, again, OpenAI solutions, Anthropic solutions, they need to build business case. They need to see why the solution is critical to be added to the mix in the enterprise. And you can't just rely on PLG, especially in the segment of mid-sized companies and enterprise companies. Even if you got some early adoption bottoms up, it doesn't mean the whole deal will happen because customers are looking at like what's the strategic differentiation and why we need to bring yet another solution into our tool stack. So I think that's something to think through for those who are trying to build PLG motion, and especially with AI, it's non-deterministic solutions. You need to not just kind of, hey, this works for a few people in your company. It's more about, hey, this is a strategic solution that we can go and implement and change the way how the organization operates. Type of pitch, and this is very different from PLG.
And that requires nurturing not just the wedges and entry points, right?
Yeah.
And be able to find your champions, right? And equipping them to be able to make that connection.
Exactly.
Why it's a strategic bet.
I think PLG is a channel. It's not a business model, especially today with AI. I think it's a great channel for people to explore and play with your product, but to be strategically deployed inside the organization, you need a different set of capabilities.
I'm sure there is a lot of org design and ops related things like compensation, everything that needs to be restructured and applied very thoughtfully.
Yeah. I mean, small deployments of 10K, 20K would work out fine. But if we're talking about like more intentional deployments of 50K plus, 100K and above, it's all about kind of building the capabilities inside your business to be able to build a business case and bring it intentionally to the enterprise.
Beautiful. The intentionality, I think. Yeah. Nice. And you have been a champion of high velocity experimentation, right? Especially an operating culture that's built around high velocity experimentation. What experiments have you run around, let's say, credit systems or usage limits or even feature gating? And what specifically are you keen on learning right now that will inform how you evolve Miro's business model next? In what fundamental ways is that also tied into the unit economics influencing your product development process today as it exists?
Yeah. As you mentioned before, like we constantly iterate on our business model and our pricing. So we did so many experiments back in the day around this freemium model to create the flywheel. We are now at the very beginning of the this multi-product business model experimentation. There are things that we know and there are things that we don't know. The things that we know is that historically we have this per seat pricing model. And with AI, this per seat pricing model can be quite vulnerable because AI is more focused on outcomes, and we see that like it's not equal distribution of those who are using AI capabilities inside enterprises. The companies may be shrinking. We will see more smaller companies over time than bigger companies. So you need to ensure that kind of the business goes sustainably through those market shifts. And we're definitely experimenting how not to be just a per seat pricing model company, but go beyond that and build sustainable pricing model that is having consumption element, but also that is having some other kind of more sustainable pillars.
Yeah, more importantly, a win for all.
Yeah.
Right? What the customer is looking.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start a bit again. So what we're looking at is like how to diversify the business model for ourselves, but also how to create a more sustainable and predictable business model for customers. So for us, like just being a per seat pricing model is quite a vulnerable position given all the shifts that are happening in the market. For customers, just being charged through consumption is also not the best way for predictability. So there are things that can work in the middle where you have more of the platform fee approaches, which allows both to predict the consumption, but also not be dependent on individual seats, correct?
Right.
I think it will all evolve over time, but like what we're trying to optimize for is for the customers to be kind of confident and can predict the spend with us
Right.
as much as we and they can. And that's super important because it all builds trust.
Yeah.
If you don't have trust with the customer, the rest will not happen.
Right.
And while we are kind of building a business, we need to create strong levers for that business growth. In the first place, we need to ensure that our customers trust us and that we have good velocity of deals going with our customers. We don't want our pricing model to be a friction for the business. So we set up a sets of experiments that we run. For example, for new products, we have the hypothesis that 80% of our team is running with, and then we have a couple more hypotheses that subset of our team is running with. And that's kind of helps us to understand what works better, obviously, what increased deal velocity, what drives higher ACV, what makes customer kind of easier commit to the proposal and whatnot. So it's like all those things we don't know now how they will be eventually structured, but this experimentation mindset help you to get signal as early as possible and not stuck with something that someone thought is a good idea, but then 3 years later you realize that it's actually not healthy for customers and the business.
Beautiful. I think it looks like you're anchoring around, product value, customer, and value delivered to customers, and then aligning everything else around that in a frictionless way, where you can continue to iterate and deliver the long-term win, right,
Correct.
for both parties.
Correct.
Beautiful.
And I think it's not obvious because pricing in every company sits somewhere, correct? It's just we have a very cross-functional team around pricing. I'm a part of that team actually because it's one of the biggest levers you have in the business, and I saw before what it can do if you do it right and what it can do if you do it wrong. And we have a team that has that experimentation mindset around pricing, and we have constant reviews. And we use Miro board actually for the whole pricing history in the company. This is where it started, and every step of the evolution is mapped on that canvas, which is amazing because you always can go back and see what was that experiment, what was the outcome, why we did it, what we've learned, and whatnot. So, and this allows you to kind of really always zoom out and see the bigger picture, but then zoom in into details and understand, okay, is it like the best thing for us to experiment now versus
Beautiful.
what are other ideas to bring into the mix?
Right. And the pricing evolution, it works amazingly well when it's in sync with the product evolution.
Correct.
Right. Someday I'll be very curious to actually get a sneak peek at that one.
I think, in a year or two, we will learn a lot about how our multi-product journey is going, given that we just shipped our multi-product offering to the market just a month and a half ago. I'm very curious to see how the company will evolve.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about the selling into more enterprises, right? And back in 2022, you talked about encountering this late majority people who need a little bit more enablement and organizational support, right, to do that. And that required you to build what was essentially a parallel different organization inside your organization to complement your PLG motion, right? And clearly you have solved that phenomenally well with a lot of, especially the proof point of most of Fortune 500 companies using your product. What patterns do you see repeating from that time as you deepen the enterprise efforts for Miro AI across a suite of products, and also what is different today?
Yeah, I think that in general, AI is harder and will be harder to sell than just a previous wave of software. And the reason why is AI is a non-deterministic solution, and you can customize solutions for different needs for different use cases versus kind of previous wave of software was more like out-of-the-box software. And what it means for your motion is that you need kind of people who have skills to go to the customer, understand their business process, and help them see how your product, like in our case, it's Miro, help transform that business process. So you work backwards from the customer needs. Sometimes customer will tell you what they want to achieve, but they don't know how to achieve that.
Right.
Sometimes customers don't even know the art of possible and what they want to achieve, and you have to come and see what's the opportunity there and help them see the art of possible and how it can be achieved.
And many times there can be a significant gap between the decision maker and the rest of the organization.
Correct.
Right? So it becomes like, okay, you are representing all the users of the system in capturing those use cases and where they are getting the value, and then present a case to the decision makers.
Correct.
And that gap is mostly
exactly. And it's a great point, because I just had like a conversation last week with someone who is leading the company, and he was looking at our demo of the product, and he was like, yeah, but how it's different from other LLMs that we can use for this use case and for that use case. And I had to kind of spend a few minutes to explain the strategic difference. And once we got to this kind of aha moment, it was clear that we can potentially partner and go and explore deeper integration. But you need to bring people on the journey. And those people who are not playing with the products themselves
Right.
may not realize the power of the products, and you need to bridge that. But on the other hand, end users, they may not see the whole big picture of the business process end to end.
Right.
So they may see kind of the immediate value for their specific area of use case, but they can't influence the broader thing. So you need to bring those together and create those alliances inside the companies. But in general, the whole motion of selling AI products requires very different, again, like skill set from selling just pure software products. And that's the transformation we are going with our team, like trying to learn way more about the processes and the problems our customers have, and working backwards from that.
Beautiful. And are you also getting back into demos, doing demos yourself?
Oh, I did it for last almost a year now. Yeah, of course, because now we're shifting to this new platform vision. and I'm in this founder sales mode where I'm trying to understand the signal, because we spoke at the beginning about this product market fit and working backwards from the market. You can read all these reports, you can talk with the customers about their problems, but then you need to bring the solution to them, and you need to see if the solution resonates, and then can you progress the deal. And that's what I was doing for quite some time now, because I don't want just to be theoretical about, hey, I read in a report, this is what people need, and then see no results in our funnel because we forgot to do something here and there. I'm trying to kind of trying to model the whole thing for myself end to end and see what will work, what not, what are accelerators, what are de-accelerators. And I'm doing it together with the team. So I'm working with a lot of talented people, like in sales and success and solution engineering, in product management and product marketing, to kind of go to customers and learn together as much as we can. But you need that kind of level of conviction and vision at the beginning, when the product is not ready, when the pitch deck is very, very thin, you know.
Yeah, it can feel remote.
Yeah. It's you kind of need that conviction of the founder to go and try to sell, and if that works, great, then you try to scale. But if that doesn't work, like, I think it will be hard for others to also sell.
Looks like you're having a lot of fun.
I'm having a lot of fun because that's the stage I love a lot, when you have a lot of kind of ambiguity. Correct, and it's quite a messy middle of the product development, where you have a vision, you know what problem you can solve, you know it can be a significant value for your customers, but still very few people around you, like customers, users, understand that, and you kind of bring the market on the journey together.
It is a fascinating phase that all of us are going through, right, in some sense. Because many a times the founder's evolution of scaling a company used to be more about, less on the hands-on product, but over time it actually shifts more and more towards scaling the organization and all of those things which we are not very natural at. And we were spending way more time trying to become somebody else.
Correct.
Right? And now this pendulum has shifted so much that it actually feels more fun, where this hands-on approach is absolutely necessary for every single operator. And more so for the founders, where it's like, this is in my wheelhouse and this is where I do exceptionally well. But more importantly, there is scale. And then in combination with scale is also the necessity of this early stage mindset that is getting applied. Looks like a lot of us are actually...
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that this will be required more and more, because the market dynamic with how fast kind of new products appear, new technology appear. So I think it's a big demand now for going back to basics and do a lot of 0 to 1.
Right.
Because
almost the need of the hour today.
Yeah, it's like you can't predict what things would play out tomorrow, where you got disrupted. So the skill of 0 to 1 is more needed than ever before. My sense, it will be a constant 0 to 1 for a lot of companies from now on. I was observing a bunch of other CEOs of quite big companies. Historically, they were sharing with me that they were sitting down with individual engineers, individual product managers, and whatnot to build those new products. I was trying to manage things through the organization, and now I shifted quite a bit. So I'm working together with a few individuals on each of those kind of bets. Obviously, I'm not alone there. It's like myself with our Chief Product Technology Officer and the team that we arrange. But you don't need a big team to pull something up. You need a team that can create that first version together. And the faster that team moves, the more conviction that team has, the better. And sometimes we help with kind of what can be strategic bets from the macro level and whatnot, but sometimes we're helping with removing obstacles inside the organization to move faster. So it's like both of those things are quite valuable for teams. And I was not anticipating how it's important to stay that level close before, because I was trying to manage it through the organizational through the organizational structure, and it's been hard.
Very true. I think that is a very interesting shift, and I think a lot of us are having fun, right, going through that. Beautiful. So on that topic, I want to touch upon a little bit about the people side, right? See, a lot of us grew headcount significantly, and in 2021, you said you would never recommend that pace, right? The kind of pace with which a lot of us grew the company, and you had to hire 90% of the company that was not probably prepared for the type of change that the company went through, and all of us went through that. So can you take us inside what specifically broke during that, more as a reflection? It's a good learning for all of us when it comes to solidifying some of those learnings. During that hyper-growth period, whatever that we went through, what specifically broke? And more importantly, what systems or capabilities did you build after that experience that you wish you had built before? And one more thing, if I may add, is the CEO job. We spoke about this particular change that we are going through, but in the context of not just the founder, but also the CEO, what does being CEO of AI First Miro mean? Right, demand from you personally as a leader now.
When the pandemic started, we were 200 people, and we had around 4 offices, but the majority were in one office, and it was very in-office culture, very heavy in-office culture. 18 months later, I don't remember exactly, it was 7 or 10 offices. Now it's 14 offices across the world, but it's been a lot of offices building, and we had 1,800 people. And the thing that I would definitely do different if I have to do it again, I would have more established ways of working in the company, because when you are in office culture, you have all people around, and the information is flowing, and people are operating in kind of the same way. But when you scale it and hire 90% of your organization overnight, you need to ensure that whatever worked there will work for the rest of the organization. And people are coming to organization from very different companies, from very different backgrounds. The big tech, which is also very different between each other, but
right.
Then from small startups all over the world, and from mid-sized companies. And everyone comes with their ways of working and expectations. And we didn't have those ways of working being established and that we enforced.
Right.
Second, we didn't actually put clear expectations on how we operate here and what does it mean to work in Miro. We had values that we were communicating to people, but those values were not grounded into what set of behaviors we expect and what type of culture it is like. And those things were kind of in the air.
Right.
And
as you are saying it, I'm going through, man, we did the same thing.
The same thing, yeah. It's like, and I wish I realized how important it is, and I wish I would be prepared for that scaling moment. But then getting out of pandemic, the macro environment changed quite a bit, correct? So winning business becomes way harder for us. And the ways of working, we still saw a lot of kind of things were not moving in the right direction or not moving at all, just because there were no ways of working or no explicit set of behaviors that we expect people would show. For example, experimentation. We talked about that.
Right.
Like some people would say, yeah, we are experimented here, and some people never experimented, and they were kind of pushing certain things that they believe are the right things without like framing hypothesis. Like all those things are quite disruptive, and especially if you have so many people working remote across all different locations. So what we did, we translated our values into a set of behaviors. We introduced a couple years ago ways of working, how we operate and what that framework is. And now, just a few weeks ago, I was resetting the expectations with the whole company, what this company is for, why we're here. and what we expect from everyone here, like starting with myself, with the leadership organization, but that is an expectation for everyone in the company, how we're executing, how we're delivering. That it's not like a place where you can kind of just come and do the work. It's a place where we all come to win together. And if we come and win together, it requires a winning mindset. It requires an effort that we put into that. It will not come naturally. I also restated something that may be relevant for our conversation, that yes, we had this incredible product market fit. And some folks in the company thought that maybe we all earn it all, correct? It's like we grew the company. Was enough. Well, yeah, it's enough. We earn it all. We're an established company. And I restated that, no, we have to re-earn it again and again, because it's not constant. Product market fit is a moving target. And I'm trying to explain that to the organization, that what we have today, it doesn't mean we'll have it tomorrow. And we have to win it again. We have to re-earn it again. And I think people in general receive it very well across the org. And those who are here for the winning, it resonated with them. And I just want to be transparent and honest with everyone. It's like what this company is about and what this company is not about, and how we can kind of sign up for something that will be a shared journey.
Yeah, beautiful. I think what you're actually trying to infuse is, one of the jobs is to give calmness to the organization to be able to operate. At the same time, you're also trying to infuse that beginner's mindset in everyone.
Correct.
To say, understand the mechanics of this particular game. And then once you know the mechanics of the game, then when do you realize you're actually out of sync with the mechanics of the game, and then how do you then get back into those?
And how we have mutual accountability.
Right.
So it's like if we are in this game together, how we can help each other to be on the journey together. And this expectation setting is important, because before I had a lot of these questions from some people who came here for a win. There's we don't feel everyone is kind of here for the winning, for example. Can we, let me restart. So I had a bunch of questions from folks before about what we're standing for,
right.
Why we're here, what's our ambition. And I want to normalize those expectations across the business. I want everyone to understand it, and that will create mutual accountability.
Beautiful. And so I'm going to ask another question where it's going more into leadership, right? Specifically, because there's one thing that you're again going into, right? There is it's about the playing the game, and the leader's role, right, shifts. And there is something fascinating that we noticed about your organization that I want to dig into a little bit. You have said that you look for people who can identify opportunities, validate hypotheses, and grab hypotheses from their network, test them, and iterate from first principles, right? But you've also acknowledged these people are incredibly rare, right? And most great operators have not built many things from scratch, right? And it seems like right now one of the solutions that you are implementing is to acquire companies to find those validated builders, right? And your CPTO is Jeff Chow, who was previously CEO at InVision, Tony who founded USARD and now leads the AA product, and Jacob from Butter, right, who was a GM for Workshop Solutions. And we have had the pleasure to, by the way, interview Tony and Jacob on their great respective founder journeys when we interviewed them for Relay, and they were paying it forward for the benefit of the community. So for leadership roles where you have not been able to do an acquisition, what questions or exercises have helped you distinguish someone who can truly build versus someone who is skilled at operating within the established frameworks, and how are you also challenging them?
It's a great question. I don't know if there are good questions to separate that. I think this is quite an experience you want to live through. And
certain experiences are best.
Certain experiences where you went through ambiguity and you lasted through ambiguity, correct? So it's like you didn't give up. you didn't stop and you lasted through that. Like, for example, the companies you were naming, and we have more than, I think, 20 entrepreneurs now operating across product and other areas of the business. Obviously, engineering, a lot of founders joined as an engineering leaders. But I think that's the experience in life that if you have it, you can apply it. For example, Jeff was leading Vision. I think it was like around 4 years there through different times. And then Wizard, they were building the company for more than 6 years. Jacob was building the company for about 5 years himself. And those just examples of people who stayed committed to what they were building for a long time and navigating very different market environments and different challenges. And you bring those people who have that level of commitment to something they're doing, even if it's a major headwind, correct? And they can survive and thrive through that. That's kind of, you look at the background in the first place.
Right.
I think the most important part is actually the mission. So you more look into, are they passionate about the thing that you are doing or not? And it's not just related to the former founders. There are a lot of like operators who went through those 0 to 1 journeys. And some are passionate about certain things, and some are less passionate about certain things. And I think the focus on identifying if people truly passionate about the problem you are solving will help a lot. Obviously, you look at system thinking, first principles thinking, all those things at the beginning, because you have a lot of this creative problem solving and structured problem solving that the company needs to go through. And those fundamental skills are required for a successful building.
Beautiful. There is also, if I may contribute to that one, right? One of the things I'm seeing is related to that is sometimes I think when you see that the first principles, I think, manifests itself in an interesting way where you look at all the data points, some articulated, some that's available through analysis, and some that is not articulated, but it's actually through the hunches and how you fill the gaps, right? And when people actually try to fill the gaps, I see a pattern where there are some who default to really trying to get to they go as close to reality as possible by listening to that customer call, watching that video to see what they are not saying, but they are trying to say to fill those gaps, versus certain decision-making moments where what would you like to believe you want it to be true? I think that's where the hallucination happens in the decision-making, right?
Yeah.
And I think that plays a big difference, because then we go into pattern matching, but any pattern that we try to derive inferences from that, let's say the pandemic world, right, or immediately following that, now those are actually useful frameworks to directly apply. And even having that mental ability to recognize where am I deriving this pattern from, I think plays a huge role.
Yeah. And in general, people like who founded companies, they have this reality delusion. So they kind of see the world that others don't see, or they kind of want to see that world. And sometimes it's really helpful, actually, because you can't build something that don't exist without high conviction.
High conviction.
And without kind of going through the walls and breaking through the walls. Even like, the most successful companies, they would get 99% of no's from 100% of investors in the early stage. So you need that level of conviction and commitment to what you are trying to do. And company building, even at scale, is the same challenge. I don't think I have different challenge today than I had 15 years ago. I have exactly the same challenge. Compared to when I started the company. You need to break through the noise. You need to solve problems better than anyone else. and you need to do it at scale when the whole world is watching you and coping
Right.
as fast as
That
they
level
can.
of resilience and say, I'm going to get to the other side, right? No matter what, with or without
Correct.
you, I'm going to get it done. And then you want to rally the troops to actually like make it
to go
happen.
there, yeah.
Right.
And that's where you need that kind of mindset in the company as much as possible, so
Right.
people are comfortable to have a conviction and run there rather than like debate and discuss, would it happen, would it not? Of course it may not happen. Of course, a lot of
But
companies
you always play to win.
yeah, it's like if you are playing to win and if you are putting your best effort, you have higher chances. That's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Talking about this part, right? And I want to touch upon this particular discipline that you have shown so much, and I want to know how it is manifesting today, which is when you raise money at first, right? There is always pressure to immediately scale paid acquisition channels and all of that. And from some of your past interviews, I think you were spending like 100 to 200K to test, build infrastructure, and develop talent before truly scaling, right? And we right now are clearly building in a period where capital is abundant all over again, right? Because of AI, everyone's racing to ship AI features, and there is tremendous pressure to spend and move fast, right? How do you maintain your conviction around discipline building in such a moment, right? And are there some core principles that have helped you imagine and build for that kind of near uncertain future that exists right now?
Yeah, I think discipline is critical because especially in a bigger company, when you have all this resources, you can go and jump into a new thing and try to scale it as fast as possible. I strongly believe that before you scale something, you need to see this thing through and that this thing is working well through the whole funnel, all the signals. You don't want to scale it too late, but you obviously don't want to scale it too early. And now we are entering this multi-product journey, and there are so many things that we can bet on and scale and whatnot. And I'm trying to kind of help the team identify what parts of that portfolio are closer to be scaled, what parts of that portfolio have to be worked further before we're scaling. And it's actually it's more an art rather than science from my perspective. You definitely apply science principles there, but you need to zoom out all the time and see how things can play out, like how many things you can actually scale versus not, how many resources you would put there, what's the mix of the channels, because it might be a very different set of channels to scale those things, and so on. So I think this is quite an interesting and challenging part. But the first principles are, does this thing work? Does this thing have high satisfaction rate?
Right.
Do we see that the funnel is efficient, correct? Is like people are progressing from one stage to another in the funnel if they are, for example, using the product in a self-serve manner, correct?
Right.
Or do we see a good win rates on the enterprise funnel before we start scaling things? So I think the discipline and pulling back the team towards that kind of alignment. Are we at the point where we early experiment? Are we at the point where we have a good signal, but we still need to improve the funnel and kind of do it more efficient and effective? Or are we at the point where we can tap on gas?
Sure.
Like, this is something that you always have to evaluate, especially in the scale of the portfolio.
Anything that requires nurturing needs to be very lean, smaller group of people. Anything that it can scale, then you can think in terms of even the people. And one more thing.
But it's the same if you build a startup, correct?
Yeah.
You build it until you get strong product market fit, until you get good enough unit economics.
And then you scale.
And then you scale.
Right.
But in the bigger company, it's very different because whenever you ship something, everyone, for a good reason, trying to jump on that.
Right. Can we do this to give it to all AMs? Can we give it to all AEs?
Exactly.
Like, no,
Everyone
it doesn't work that way.
Exactly. So this is where like you need to educate the organization, but you also need to drive discipline. So because if it's done too early or too late, it can break the business actually.
Beautiful. One more pattern I'm observing, and I would love to hear your validation, which is a big difference that I see in people is, do we think in the job to be done framework, or are we actually beginning to think in terms of all the titles of the people who are necessary to do a job, to get something done?
Yeah.
Right. Like I need a PMM, I need a customer market, or I need like this is different people versus you don't have the luxury of that many people. And in those times when you just wear multiple hats to get the job done, and that type of the groups actually operate very differently and deliberately recognizing signaling and forming our squads based on that. Do you see that as a...
Yeah, I'm actually shifting towards that as much as possible. So we were for a long time operating in a way where we say, okay, we need a product manager, a marketer,
like a functionally scaled the
designer.
organization.
So you bring the roles, correct, into the room. Now we are shifting towards like the skills. What skills we want to bring in the room.
Beautiful.
And ensure that those skills are covering 100% of what we are trying to achieve. And it may be a designer who have certain skills that allow us not to bring the product manager in the room. Great.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Right.
or a product manager that may not need like to bring in the room like product marketer. It's like, and so on. So it's like, we were talking about this before, is like this makers teams. And everyone has a place in those structures, but how you bring the minimal number of people who cover the 100% of things that have to be achieved, right, through that work stream.
Correct.
And this is more like skill-based pool model,
Right.
rather than a role-based pool model.
And the beautiful thing is, I think it makes a big difference in, first of all, you cut the number of, like it is a constraint to deliberately embrace because one, it reduces overheads in decision making, and high conviction gets decision made, like high conviction decisions are much more easier with smaller groups. Context transfer is much easier. And the more we are able to, like within a scaled organization, how do we play this duality of initiatives that are requiring that type of nurturing where like you deliberately, forcefully embrace the small teams to go faster.
Correct.
I think it's going to become even more and more important.
Yeah, it's becoming more important, and I think we can't ignore this because if we in the bigger organizations would not be able to execute this way, we would be disrupted by small startups. That's it. Like I think the pace that small startups have today is insane. It's obviously accelerated significantly by all the AI capabilities that it brings to the table. So we can't operate in the way we operated before. Otherwise, we will be out of the game quite fast.
Right. Beautiful. Okay, last question. As you have navigated this most recent transformation at Miro, right? Are there particular books, frameworks, or thinkers that you have returned to that has shaped your approach?
Yeah, I think number one thing that I'm a big fan of in terms of navigating this product market fit journey is kind of the framework 4 fits that Brian Balfour introduced back in the day. When I was building the first kind of stage of this company, I actually were reading and rereading those 4 fits a lot. He recently did an update, and he has this new version of 4 fits in AI world and how AI impacts those 4 fits, which is incredible and which reinforces a lot of things that we were discussing today. Right. Obviously, like the moment in time where we have to do bets, multiple bets, because you never know which of those will.
And Brian himself is now shipping more products.
It's incredible how fast they're shipping and what they're shipping. So I'm a big fan of what he is doing and what his team at Reforge is doing. So yeah, I think that's a kind of foundational approach. And again, it's about first principles. If you understand those things and you embrace those things, it's easier to make decisions. And it's easier to make decisions faster, because one of the things, for example, that I was bringing to the team recently when we launched those products, I was constantly pushing us to think through what's our model market fit, what's our channel market fit, correct? It's not just about product market fit, but it's about what's the model, what's the channel, and how we can take the same iterative approach to those pieces rather than just focus on product market fit. And for a lot of folks, it's kind of a new mental model. to zoom out into and think holistically. And it helps. It normalizes the expectations. It normalizes the conversation in the room when we discuss something. So it's quite powerful framework to keep in mind when you're building business, both the first product or when you move to a multi-product offering. I think it's powerful in both stages.
I think the kind of change that we are all going through and the transformation, I think that you are going through as an individual, right, and as leaders in the organization, I think it's only going to make us much more stronger for the future because look at the cycles that we have been through, right, which is pre-COVID and single product scaling, right, and PLG, and then layering the multi-product and SLG, and then the pandemic digital growth, and then the subsequent reset that quickly happened, then quickly followed by now the reset that we are going through AI. I think I feel like there is going to be a generation of companies that will be much more resilient for the future if we lean in and embrace. And
I fully agree. Some people ask me why I'm still running the company after 15 years of running it.
Same.
And I'm like,
love it.
I ran it out of curiosity because there are so many new things that we are going through and to learn new experiences and to build. Like I love building. And I am very curious about new motions. So if you ask me like 5 years ago or 7 years ago, I have a lot of like insights and intuitions around PLG and self-service business. I had very little understanding of enterprise business. I still developing some of my understanding of enterprise business, but looking back where I've been, it's been incredible how much I learned.
Right.
And now we're kind of in this new AI-first companies building phase. And I think a few years later, looking back in terms of like how to run an AI-first company and build strategic solutions for enterprises while still have bottoms-up adoption will be an interesting learning that we can acquire. And obviously on company building, like how you manage teams at scale, how you introduce new products, how you reshuffle things, how you maintain the culture.
And our own comm skills.
Yeah, it's like all of those things are incredible to learn, and I don't think I didn't expect I will do all that, but I think it's a gift in life to kind of have a chance to do those things and navigate through this interesting times.
You said it beautifully. On that note, thank you so much, and wishing I have no doubt that Miro will be phenomenally successful. Right, as you earn your seat at the table for the next 5 years and the next decade and beyond. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you, and thanks so much for generously spending the time.
Thank you, and we need to earn it, as I said before. We need to earn it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrey.
Cool.